309 Americans disappeared at sea in 1918. But here's what they don't teach in history class. Their captain was secretly German, born Johann Friedrich Wichmann in Germany, changed his name, hid his past, and in the weeks before they vanished, his crew found sabotaged equipment, signal lamps rigged to communicate with U-boats, gun sights installed backward, lifeboat cables cut. 40 sailors signed a petition saying Captain Worley was drunk, violent, chasing officers with a pistol. The Navy knew all of this. They investigated him. They found he had pro-German sympathies and created what they called a toxic command climate. And then they let him sail anyway, with 309 American souls. During a war against Germany, the USS Cyclops vanished 24 hours after leaving Barbados, and the American consul there had just sent a coded warning to Washington about German elements aboard. He used a phrase that haunts me. He feared a fate worse than sinking. What's worse than sinking? Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm Percival Blackwood. The USS Cyclops, 542 feet of American naval power, built to haul coal across the world's oceans. January 9th, 1918. She leaves Norfolk for Brazil with a critical mission: deliver coal, then bring back manganese ore for armour-piercing shells. Without that manganese, our boys in France couldn't stop German tanks. Everything went catastrophically wrong. The ship barely avoided collision leaving port. Halfway to Brazil, the starboard engine blew. Cylinder head cracked completely. In Rio, naval surveyors declared her unseaworthy, too dangerous for an Atlantic crossing on one engine. The Navy's response: load her up and send her home. They packed 11,000 tons of manganese ore into holds designed for fluffy coal. Manganese is dense like concrete. The ship sat so low that water washed over her deck in calm harbour water, below the plimsoll line that marks the literal death point for any vessel. Now meet Captain George Worley. Real name: Johann Friedrich Wichmann, born in Germany, 1862. Jumped ship in San Francisco, 1878. Ran a Barbary coast saloon, possibly dealt opium. How a German criminal became a US Navy commander during a war against Germany remains unexplained. His crew called him the Damned Dutchman. He'd appear on the bridge at midnight in long underwear and a derby hat, drunk, waving a cane. In August 1917, 40 sailors petitioned against him after he chased an ensign with a loaded pistol. The investigation confirmed everything, then cleared him for duty. While stationed off France, sabotage began. Signal lamps for U-boats, cut lifeboat cables, backward gun sights. Executive Officer Forbes was so alarmed he locked himself in quarters rather than follow orders. He was still confined when they sailed from Brazil. February 16th, 1918. Cyclops departs Rio, one engine dead, overloaded past safety limits. Executive officer imprisoned. German captain the crew suspects of treason. March 3rd. Unscheduled stop in Barbados. Captain Worley acts strangely, requests unnecessary coal. American consul Brockholst Livingston sends coded warning to Washington about German elements and fears of a fate worse than sinking. March 4th. 3 p.m. Cyclops steams out of Barbados. Final message: weather fair, all well. Then nothing. The largest naval search in history finds not a single piece of wreckage, not one body, not even an oil slick. Ships don't vanish like that. The Titanic left debris for weeks. The Lusitania scattered wreckage across Irish shores. Cyclops left absolutely nothing. The official inquiry's conclusion: disappearance complete and unexplained. But Cyclops wasn't unique. She had 3 identical sister ships. November 1941. USS Proteus vanishes, carrying bauxite ore. No signal, no wreckage. 3 weeks later, USS Nereus disappears on the same route, same cargo, same silence. 3 of 4 identical ships gone without a trace, all carrying dense metallic ore. The 4th, USS Jupiter, Completely rebuilt in 1920 as the aircraft carrier Langley. New structure, new purpose. The only survivor. Rear Admiral George Van Deurs discovered why. The Proteus class had a fatal flaw. Exposed I-beams in cargo holds that corroded from coal and ore. On USS Jason, inspectors found these critical supports eaten to nothing. Add 11,000 tons of ore to compromised beams in Atlantic storms. The ship snaps like a pencil, both halves plunging before anyone can signal. Lloyd's of London found something worse. Manganese ore, when wet, liquefies. 11,000 tons of solid becoming liquid in seconds, rushing to one side. Instant capsize, no time to scream. This explains 3 vanished sisters, but not everything. March 5th, one day after Cyclops departed, HMS Valerian reports compasses spinning wildly for 3 hours. 3 vessels detect mechanical sounds on impossible frequencies. Guantanamo Bay records atmospheric anomalies. March 5th through 8th, classified for 50 years. The manganese came from Brazil's Morro da Mina mine. Locals called it estrela metal, star metal from an ancient meteorite. Brazil classified all mine information in 1920 and restricts geological surveys there today. 1968, Navy diver Dean Hawes finds a massive wreck matching Cyclops off Virginia. 2 weeks later, the Navy salvage team finds nothing. No wreck, no evidence one was ever there. Hawes' photos were classified then lost, except one he kept showing a serial number from 1921, 3 years after Cyclops vanished. 1974, Freedom of Information Act releases forced the Navy to open Cyclops files. The index lists 843 pages, only 696 released. The missing 147 pages. Alternative theories of disappearance. 2019, Navy Directive OPNAV. Notice 3100.42 requires special clearance to investigate historical anomalous losses. Cyclops specifically named. Why does a 1918 sinking need special clearance a century later? Conrad Nervig served on Cyclops, transferred off before her final voyage, spent 50 years investigating. His conclusion: the ship didn't sink. It went somewhere else. Here's what the evidence suggests. Cyclops encountered something. Maybe mechanical failure met cargo liquefaction. Maybe electromagnetic anomalies connected to star metal triggered something else. Whatever happened also took her sisters. The Navy rebuilt Jupiter to prevent a 4th loss. 309 Americans vanished completely. After 106 years, still listed as unexplained. Storms don't erase ships entirely. They don't cause electromagnetic disturbances. They don't require 147 pages of classified theories. The Cyclops is out there, somewhere, and the Navy knows more than they're telling. This is Percival Blackwood for the Rabbit Hole Chronicles, reminding you that sometimes the most dangerous captains are the ones our own government puts in charge. Sometimes ships don't sink. They disappear into something we're not ready to comprehend. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and maybe check your captain's real name before boarding. Pleasant dreams.